Okay, we're starting tax class. I guess March the 6th, 2018, of course. Uh, Hopefully, everybody makes it out tomorrow night. We got a full schedule again, and then you'll have a week off for spring break. So, hope all these folks who are missing today will be there. Uh, Olivia, will you be there on time? Yeah. And Robert? I think Giorgio will, okay? Anyway, Austin took the easy way out. He just had to do 5. But Austin, of course, if you decide, you can still do the ITA next year for an elective or for an internship. Uh, so I don't have a PowerPoint put on for this next chapter, but let's go to, we finished up accounting periods and method. We had a test on depreciation and credits. Our next test should be on accounting periods and methods. We didn't cover inputted interest real good in that chapter, and we didn't cover installment sales all that great in that chapter. They were mentioned. Did I give you, I did not give you a comprehensive problem in that chapter, right? Didn't I give you a tax form problem in that chapter? I believe I gave you, did I give you problem 60 in that chapter? Page 1135. I thought I gave you all problem 60. I may have forgot to give it to you. All right, well, I want you to do problem 60 in chapter 11. It's a tax return problem. It's mostly to do that installment. We'll look at the inputted interest later too. So work on that problem. Try to have it for Thursday. All right, 11, 12, and 13 will be a test. Naturally, we can't have it this week. Your midterm grade is what you've already got on one test. Everybody made a C or better. Nobody will get a D turned in. Nobody will get an F turned in. It makes it easy on me. All right. A lot of professors, including myself, are complaining about attendance for our live streaming classes. I have to say, Giorgio and Olivia and Robert are here almost 100% of the time. And Austin, you're here. You're going to miss what, 1 or 2 days? None? Good forward then. Once you're forward, you probably have to miss maybe 1 day. So the other folks, some can't help it, like Tanda, she's working today. That's okay. That's what it's for. I don't know who else is working today or what the problem may be, but I've suggested for next fall, if you live stream a course, then you have to have proof that you're working during that time. You have to have proof that you live an hour, 2 hours away. We do that by address and zip codes. Then you live stream. If you live right here down the road 1 mile, you should not be sleeping at this time. You should be in class. So you'll probably have to crack down on that, modify it. I believe in live streaming for those who cannot be here, but I don't believe in live streaming for some people that could be here. They're procrastinating. They don't get any hands-on in class or anything of that nature. All right, so we're going to page 2, chapter 12, which we've talked about some before. All right, why do we worry about, Austin, whether a property is like kind or not? What's the reason for us even wondering about it? Trading purposes, all right? If you go any further than that, you don't pay any taxes. If you trade like kind for like kind, you don't pay any taxes. Unless you get boot, receive boot, or something of that nature, there might be tax consequences. Now, if you all remember back in principles, if you had truck number one with the cost of $20,000, and accumulated depreciation of $8,000, we know that truck's book value is 12. All right, if we trade it in, we know there's no taxes usually on a gain or a loss when you trade this truck in. So you had this all the way back in principles, or something similar to it. So like-kind property, we went over what like-kind property was. I want you to look over location. We're on location on page 3. Transfers of real property located in the U.S. and real property outside the United States after 1989 are not like-kind exchanges. Exchanges of personal property predominantly used in the United States and personal property outside of the United States that occur after June 97 are not like-kind exchanges. They cracked down a little bit on the real property, which is land and houses, of course. The property received, the location predominantly used is determined by analyzing the use during the 2-year period after the property is received. So anyway, look at example 5. Gail exchanged an office building with 400 adjusted basis for an airplane with 580 fair market value to be used in business. Now, an airplane and an office building don't have a lot in common, do they? Okay, if not, this is not a like-kind exchange because the office building is real property and the airplane is personal. She must recognize $180,000 gain. $580,000 subtract $400,000. That's the way we normally calculate gains. But we'll have to worry about this real property. Property of a same class, like class, we looked at that. Trucks for trucks and computers and peripherals and all that. All right. None like change of property. You just have a gain or loss on it. And securities is going to be common for common in the same corporation. Now, once again, we did this to save taxes. Now, let's look at boot, receipt of boot. The basis of property you received. Okay, if we receive boot, all right, we have automobile, fair market value, $15,000. Its cost was, or its basis for depreciation after depreciation was $12,000. All right, now we trade this for property. This is automobile. It doesn't matter what the seller paid for it, with a $16,000 for a market value. All right, if we trade even, how much gain do we have? Our basis is $12,000. For our market value of that automobile is $15,000. We trade it for an automobile for our market value is $16,000. How much of a gain do we have? How much? All right. If our basis is 12 and we got how much out of it? 4,000 gain. Realized, but not recognized, okay? It's realized but not recognized. Your basis goes back to the same 12,000. Now, if you turn around and sold it tomorrow for 16,000, you'd pay 4,000 gain. All right. Our holding period, if we bought this on 2/1/95, our holding period goes back to that 2/1/95. Not when this was bought and not when it was traded. All right. Same example. 12,000 basis, 15,000 for market value. Want to trade this for the 16,000 for market value. This is truck A, and we'll trade it for truck B. Now, if we receive 2,000 boot, now let's look at boot. That's the purpose of these examples I'm trying to scroll up here. All right, you got 16,000 for your truck. Your basis is 12, but you got 2,000 bonus. So now what is your gain? What's your gain? If your basis is 12, and you received 18, 6. All right, but that is 6,000 realized. Add these two together, get 18. All right. 12 from 18, 6,000 realized. All right, but how much of that is recognized? Only the cash, Only the cash boot is recognized. All right.
4,000.
Yeah, 2,000. 4,000 not recognized. 2,000 recognized. Now this is realized. I'm going to change this from recognized to taxable. 2,000 taxable, not recognized, 4,000. Okay, I'm going to say taxable, 2,000, that's recognized. Not taxable, 4,000. And then, of course, 6,000 realized. Okay, now eat on that a minute and work this example. I'll give you time to work this one. All right, computer, whatever it is, set up. The basis is equal to 20,000. Whatever this is, fair market value is equal to 22,000. Doesn't always have to be higher. You're trading that in. This is item A, computer, truck, whatever. We're going to trade that into item B. We don't know its basis, but its fair market value is 19,000. And we receive boot equal to 4,000. Now calculate, realize, recognize, which is taxable, realize taxable, not recognized. Do that real quick in your head if you need to. All right, what is our realized gain? Giorgio, how much did we realize? How much gain did we make? Huh? Where'd I get 3? How much did you get out of your truck or whatever it is? 19 plus 4 is how much? So what's my basis? 20 from 23 is what? Now, since that was all cash, it's all taxable. But now the basis of your property still stays at 20. It's got the other 1,000. Your basis is still 20. Your holding period stays the same. Now, boot can be tricky. So we're going to practice some boot and basis of property received. Then we look at involuntary conversions a little bit in detail. If I can find a real quick problem on boot. All right, I found it. Problem 28. Number 28, you've got 5 scenarios there. Take 2.5 minutes to do those 5 scenarios. You don't have a book, Giorgio? Okie doke. Can you share with Austin, maybe? You don't have a book either? How many books are back here? Robert's got one. You got one, okay. Whoa. Okay, Austin, we can't let Georgia, can't let you put that problem. Okay? Yeah. Take a couple minutes, you at home, do the same. Take another minute on those 4. We do need to practice them. Giorgio, you'll be here tomorrow night, right?
Well, tomorrow in the morning we have a match, a tennis match in Virginia Tech. It starts at 11. So if we finish the match like early enough, I'll come. But if we go for too long, then I won't be able to come. I'm not sure if I'll do it.
Well, either get eliminated real quick or eliminate everybody else real quick.
Yeah. But yeah, if I can, I'll.
Yeah, I understand that. Tanda, will she be there on time tomorrow, Libby, or late? Don't know. Shucks, I thought you were her keeper. Okay, folks, on A part, fair market value of boot received. Didn't receive any boot. Fair market value of equipment received. We're giving up 20 for 85. Austin, how much of a realized gain do we have? 65. How much of that's taxable? Huh? 0. That's the good thing about it. Non-taxable exchange. 0 on that is recognized. Real 65 is realized, 0 recognized, 0 tax. However you want to put it, okay? Okay, how about, and the basis is still 20,000, and the holding period is still the same. Now, 45,000, we received 70 plus 14. That is 84 minus 45. So how much of a realized gain of Libby did we have on the second one there? Or how much of that will be recognized, taxable? What do you think? Anybody? Right, you had a total gain, but how much of that's taxable? How much? 14. Okay, no boots, no taxes. Here, you only taxed up to the amount of boots you received at the most. But in certain situations, you may not be taxing all the boot, depending on the one example I gave you. You were not taxing all the boot. You only taxed on 3,000. All right, now, the next one, we're getting 65 plus 25, which is 90. So how much of a gain did we have there, Robert? 60,000. 25,000 is taxable, okay? Now we receive 60 plus 38. That would be 98. Giorgio, how much of a gain on 98 minus 70?
28.
Huh?
28.
98 minus 7 will be 28. So how much of that boot are you taxed on? 28. 28, because this is like an example I gave you. Your basis ends up being reversed. Okay? So 28. And you keep the same basis of your old property. No, wait a minute. You're taxed, hold it. You're taxed on 28. Your basis is reduced by the boot that you weren't taxed on. You were not taxed on 10, reduce your basis to 60. Now look at that last scenario. 22 plus 55 is how much? 22 plus 55 is what?
77.
All right, but your basis is 90. You had a what, a $13,000 loss? You had a $13,000 loss. No gain, of course. but what's your basis? 68. Okay, your basis started out being what? All right, you got $22,000 boot. Subtract 22 from 90. The original purchase was 90, and boot you put in your pocket. You put 22,000 in the bank. Subtract that 22,000 you put in the bank from the price of your equipment. It's 68. So you got to think logical with these things, folks. They will get you mixed up and confused. All right, we'll be looking at more like kind of exchanges with boot given or boot received. Now, I got to give you a couple more examples here that they did not. And all the things we've done so far, right here, who received the boot? Who received the boot? And problem 28, who received the boot? We did. Yeah, okay. Well, we don't always receive boot. We may have to give boot. All right. Our property has a basis of 10. Fair market value of 13. And we trade it with property has a fair market value of 20. Now, we're going to trade. You know somebody's going to want boot. All right. Now, if we trade even here, fair market value for fair market value, we're going to have to give how much boot? All right, we're going to get 7 cash. Didn't spell cash today. Okay. Now, that is a non-taxable transaction. Fair market value for fair market value. But what is the basis of our property? That's what's important. What is the basis of the new property? What's the basis of the $20,000? First of all, what did we give up? What did we give up? What was the basis of our equipment? 10, well, you were saying that. And then we gave up what else? 7,000. That makes how much? 17. That's the basis of our new property. 17. See, we're giving boot now. So you do have to look at both ways or both scenarios. All right, let me try and make a, well, let's use this same example. All right, let's say we gave 12,000 cash. 12,000 cash. What are we giving up? 10 plus,
22.
We're giving up 22. Okay, so our basis will be how much in that new property? 22, what we gave up. All right, another scenario. We're going to give him, all right, we're just going to give him 5,000 cash. How much gain? Yeah, how much gain? This is basis. All right, we're giving 5,000 cash. How much gain?
5,000.
Gain is 5,000. All right, how much is recognized? So we're giving up 10 plus 5, 15. from 20 is 5,000. None of it will be recognized though. Now, all right, what is the basis in our new machine? No. Exactly right, Giorgio. The 10 plus the new money you gave up out of your pocket. Okay. Now let's look at page 10. Involuntary conversion. Now, we've had a lot of involuntary conversions lately. Fires in California, we've had earthquakes, hurricanes, floods just last week, different places. We had a lot of natural disasters. A volcano even exploded somewhere, caused a lot of casualties. I don't know if we had a tsunami this year or not. We had one this year. We have had hurricanes. We've had tornadoes. So a lot of natural disasters. Now those are natural disasters, but we can also have a thief, right? Now we also can wreck a car. That's involuntary conversion. Now your house may also be condemned by the public health department. Your house is so bad. Okay? Now your land might be condemned for different things, for a school, a hospital. Now your land, many times, part of it is condemned by an eminent domain or a gas pipeline to come through. Gas pipeline, or anything else that comes through your land. Okay? Telephone poles, for example. Get non-stop electric company for putting a telephone pole on your land. That's in a domain. Let me give you a situation. This is true. I worked with a feller that he graduated from Yale, and he'd worked for some of the big firms in the country, and he went back and studied law and became an attorney just because he taught business law. But anyway, he has about 8 acres of land for sale. And anyway, I think I offered him 18. Now get this. And he wanted 19. Okay, I offered him 18. He wanted 19, but he wanted the mineral rights. Mineral rights. Now in West Virginia, Georgia, mineral rights. If you go out there and buy a piece of 5 acres of property, most likely you will not get the mineral rights with it. The coal rights, the gas rights, the oil rights have been sold a long time ago to somebody else. You don't get them. It'd probably be hard to find very much land in West Virginia where you can also get the oil and the mineral rights with it. Same with Virginia. Do not do that in your country? All right. The country of Georgia, y'all don't have any coal mining at all, it's zero.
Maybe we might have some.
There's not much coal in the country of Georgia. Do you have any oil and gas?
No, we import oil.
Don't have any domestic oil at all.
Not really. We import those from neighborhood countries.
Now, I talk about gas in West Virginia, I'm talking about natural gas. They pump it into a lot of houses that feed people's furnace or gas logs or whatever. You make oil, you got gas, but you get gas from oil. You get diesel from oil and you get kerosene from oil. Okay?
The only thing we have is food products that we export. We have a lot of wine export because we produce a lot of wine
A
ourselves.
lot of wine.
Yes. In Europe, but nothing natural. No gas.
A lot of people in your country wine drinkers.
Yeah.
In Russia, it's vodka drink.
Yes. We make vodka too.
In the United States and Germany, it's beer drinkers, I guess. They give living on your other towns, you make beer, wine, Jack Daniels, over. That new you live in, that's news to you, man. They know I'm kidding. Okay, now look at this situation. Now this is, we thought was the smartest man in the school of business that I worked with. He would not take my 18 offer without the mineral rights. I wanted the mineral rights. I didn't want a gas company to put a gas line through my front yard or my backyard. In case there was oil or gas out there, I didn't want a gas well on my property. Just 8 acres. All right. So we forgot about it for about a week. Now get this. I went back and offered him 17 with the mineral rights, and he took it. We drew up a contract.
Wait, who's the seller?
He was the business law professor and management professor. He had a degree from Yale. He was highly intelligent.
Who was the seller? Wife.
I was the buyer,
You were the wife.
and my friend was the seller that I worked with.
So he took 17,000.
He took 17 and gave me the mineral rights. But a week before, I offered him how much? And he wouldn't take it.
What change?
I don't know. Maybe he was getting senile. Maybe he had a crazy moment. I don't know. But it worked out for me, didn't it? Okay. So I built a home on that property and still live there. Now he lived on the other property and down below me, and he finally sold it. Believe it or not, he sold the rest of the property, about 100 and some acres, to 2 doctors of psychiatry. And those 2 doctors were raising marijuana in those fields. They had them posted. They both were working at a local hospital. They were finally busted for selling drugs, and they lost their doctor license.
Did they go to jail?
I think one of them did. It must have been some kind of plea bargain or trade-off.
I just read West Virginia reached a deal for a 5% raise for the teachers. So it's finished.
Well, yeah, that's what I was asking Robert about. You weren't in here at the time?
Yeah. Now it's like official.
Is it official?
Yeah.
Has not been withdrawn? Well, they deserve it. The public school teachers in West Virginia, I read somewhere they had 700 and some teachers in classrooms. These teachers weren't certified. They can't get certified teachers because they're paid so low. Why, in Virginia, you can go from one county making $30,000 with 5 years experience to the neighbor county and make $42,000. That's how much difference there are in some of the counties. Pay. But now still, I think teaching for a female is an excellent profession. They're gonna have kids, families, they got 3 months off in the summer, they got all the snow days, they got all the vacations and all the holidays. It's not bad. Some men can be okay with teaching. Okay? Most of them will find something to do in the summer. But we don't want just all women in the teaching profession. We definitely want those males. But anyway, this fellow had a senior moment. I got the land for 17 and the mineral rights. And he's long gone. I think he's dead now. Now that property is back to a farm again. I either have a group of horses behind my house or a group of cattle or a group of sheep. It's usually cattle or horses. All right. So involuntary conversion. Now look at page 11. Bold-headed. Threat of being condemned. Now, can you go trade your property or sell it under involuntary conversion rules? It's important whether you do or not. Okay? If somebody from the county government just threatens you that your property is going to be condemned, it's not official.
What do you mean?
Let's see. All right. You own that parking lot down there. It's yours. You got a title to it, a deed to it. But the state comes along and says, we need that for Bluefield State to expand. We're going to get it.
Confiscate.
And compensate. They'll condemn it and compensate.
But that is illegal.
Yes. By the government. No. But they will pay you for market value. You'll get paid for market value. And that's what happens with schools and hospitals. Now, let's say it's your house. Okay, now let's say it's your property. They can condemn it for a road through it. That's what we mean by condemn. The government takes it. They'll take the right away.
Only government can do that.
Yeah, you can't go take my property, I'd shoot you. Or they're gonna put in jail. All right? That's why we like the Second Amendment, keep our guns in case you try to take our property. Okay, but I wanted to look at, now, if the Board of Supervisors votes on condemning your property to take it for a school or hospital, then that you can sell it involuntary conversion. Now, why is this involuntary conversion thing important? You'll see in a minute. Tax treatment due to a gain of involuntary conversion. Usually, it's recognized, a gain is recognized but not realized. Okay, let's say you're double wide got floated down the river. Okay, double wide floated down the river, and you had 100,000 in that double wide. That was its basis. That was its fair market value. All right. Let's say it's totally gone. The insurance company gives you 90. You know there's no gain. There's no loss on personal property. We'll look at involuntary conversion. But now what if the insurance company gives you 110? It's just like selling it, isn't it? You got a $10,000 gain unless you replace it. So that's what the next couple of pages are about. Now I want you to look at this very carefully on page 13. Replacement property. All right, first off, the service damage. I got to cover that a minute at the top of the page. If a portion of the taxpayer's property is condemned, the taxpayer may receive serious damage as compensation for a decline in the value of the property. For example, if access to the retained property becomes difficult, or if the property is exposed to greater damage from flooding or corrosion, whatever. Now, servants' damages are usually not taxable. Now, the West Virginia and Virginia, the counties get a co-servants tax. Now, why does the coal companies pay a co-servants tax to the county? Because of damage to the land and to rain and to the mountains. It's co-servants tax. Okay, well, look at this replacement period that we started to look at on page 13. It's going to be similar or related property. All right. Now, functional use test, the functional use test is more restrictive, meaning it has to have the same function. Okay, I'm trying to get those time periods. All right, look at page 14, first sentence. If real property held for purchase, use in a trade or business, or for investment is condemned, a proper replacement may be made by acquiring like kind. This exception, don't have to worry about the functional test. That's replacement, but trying to find out the time period. Trying to find a time, but I still don't see a time period. Read those examples though. All right, over on page 15 is our time requirement. All right, so pay very close attention to most things. To qualify for non-recognition of gain treatment, the converted property must be replaced within a time period. The general rule is that the period begins with the date of disposing of the converted property and ends 2 years after the close of the first taxable year. Now, this one states, as a general rule, 2 years, some's 1 year. Okay, now looking at this. Okay, Robert, if we had an involuntary conversion on August the 1st, 17, if you look at this rule, you got 2 years after what? Now we're reading a paragraph on page 15. All right, that's exactly right. 2 years after the close. So we have on December the 31st, what year? All right. First year, the close offs was 17. We got all of 18 and all of 19. But we'd have to trade it by December 31st, 19. So that is your 2 years. All of 18, all of 19 is 2 years, not 17 from 19, okay? So be careful with these replacement periods. Now, sometimes it's longer due to condemnation. It can go up to 3 years. The replacement period is longer if the involuntary conversion is due to the condemnation of real property. If somebody comes in and condemns your house and land, you got 3 years. Then we got the sale of principal residence, and we looked at that a little bit last Thursday. What's the good news? Also, what's the good news about on the home? For tax purposes. All right. If you pay interest on the home tax on the out of mind, you take it, yeah. But if your home paid for, you don't have nothing out of mind. What's the good tax news if you sell? Sell that home, what is the good news?
Good. If you sell it, you pay tax.
All right, let's say you sell it, you have a $200,000 gain. Now, what's the good news?
Oh, if it's a long term.
Houses usually are long term. What's the good news? All right, you didn't listen last Thursday, number one. You didn't listen last semester when we looked at that, number two. You didn't read the chapter, number three. So let me point that out to you, and I want you to read it. And I want you to read example 56. Just read number 56, example, on page 18.
Oh, that's true. You guys deduct
250,000 gain that you're not taxed on. All right, let's say you're married, filing a return, 500,000. So a house is a good investment. Now, if that was stock, you got $500,000 gain, you pay taxes 50% on it. That's a house with $500,000 gain, you pay no tax. It's a good investment. Okay. That's on your first home, not second home, not vacation home. Now, if you sell more than one home in a year, I want you to read that page real careful, page 18. There's some exceptions. Now, principal home could be burned down. I want you to look at example 66 on page 21. Ordinary, the involuntary conversion of a principal residence is governed by blah, blah. Again, due to an involuntary conversion of a personal residence may be deferred if requirements are satisfied. Usually, if it's 250,000, you defer it anyway, nothing. We're talking about destruction, theft, seizure, requisition, or condemnation. Thus, taxpayers may exclude a gain of up to 250, even on that, or 500,000. But if you make a proper election, you can put that much back in another house and defer that gain to later. All right, so this chapter has some good stuff in it. Like-kind exchanges are very helpful. And the personal resident is very helpful. So please read the chapter well if you haven't and start working on some even problems. Okay, we're going to start looking at chapter 13 just a bit today. Now, when we get back from the spring break, we'll have a test on 11, 12, 13. That'll be your second test. And we're still going to try to crowd in 2 more tests before the end of the semester. And they'll be on corporation. So once we finish 11, 12, and 13, sure, inventory, depreciation, that's all business. Property that we're talking about now is all business. Involuntary conversion could be business. But we'll finish with the small business stuff. We'll get to the big business corporation. Okay. And we'll deal a while with it. So you should be able to do a Schedule C and an SE. That's all a small business consists of. Okay. Some of these people are bringing in contract labor where their employers gave them a 1099 miscellaneous. Well, you got to count that as miscellaneous income, and any computer program will put it on Schedule C, won't it? And then they got to pay Social Security tax on it, and then they complain. Okay? These people just don't understand taxes. You have to be patient with them. Okay, now we've talked about this before. And I want to see who has the longest memory. All right. I've got property. Okay, it cost $25,000. It has accumulated depreciation of $6,000. Its book value is $19,000. All right. Now you sell it for, we won't worry about long term and short term. All right. Now figure this out for me. Figure total gain. How much of that total gain is 1231? How much is 1245? Total gain will equal to these two. Total gain, section 1231 gain, and 1245 gain. Give me three numbers from that little scenario. Okay, you shouldn't have to do a whole lot of thinking about that. What is the total gain, Giorgio? All right, your basis was what, or book value? 19, you sold it for what? All right, so your total gain is 8. All right. Your section 1245 property is recaptured. That is 6,000. And your section 1231 property is 2,000. That is where you get long-term capital gain treatment at 15% rate, no more than 28. So did anybody have the 2 and 6 as I have it? Did you have section 1231 of 2,000? That's the amount above the cost and what you got out of it. You recaptured all of the depreciation. All right. Now, one more scenario, cost. Okay, we got cost 30,000, accumulated depreciation 18, and book value 12. All right. We're going to sell it for I want total gain. section 1231, and section 1245. Take a second and give me those gains. All right, it's easy to see what your total gain is. What is your total gain? Now, if your total gain is less than your accumulated depreciation, the total gain is all section 1245 property gain. That means you're taxed on all of it at ordinary rate. IRS gave you depreciation of $18,000. This $14,000 gain has to go back in ordinary income because you took depreciation off of ordinary income. All right, now we've had that before, and you've seen a quick preview of it again. So please read about these net gains and these net losses on page 3 of chapter 13. Now, do you remember how much of a long-term capital loss you can take? How much of a long-term capital loss can you take? Every year. All right. Now, Giorgio is the first one to speak up, but I hope he's not the only one to know the answer. Okay. 3,000 is what you can deduct in any one year, and you carry the rest over. So please read those pages about net gains, net losses, even when you combine 1231 and 1245. If you want to make a note of it on page 4 of your textbook, tax rate for next section 1231 gain. It may be 25%, or it may be 15%. That 28% is for section 1250 property, which is taxed at no more than 25%. I think that's real estate at 1250. So read this section 1231 property again. Also, we can have the involuntary conversions and condemnation. Now to treat section 1231, recapture of 1245. So we've done a lot in this chapter. We will not cover section 1250. All right. You know your assignments, I think. Even problems, chapter 12. Read chapter 13. Once you read it, we'll cover some more of it. And with that in mind and that said, I'll see you all tomorrow night. Giorgio's not coming, so everybody come that can, okay? Olivia, don't get sick, and Robert, don't have a car accident. Okay, if you're all out there at home or wherever, I'm stopped recording.